So, hi Andy. Uh, a very good day to everyone. This is my first video blog content. I would like to do these videos just that everyone has to be aware about their health and the most common problems that we are day to day facing and too much of health burden we are seeing in the society. So I would like to make these videos just for the awareness for both the patients and the practitioners. So I would like to discuss about the autoimmune disorders and the most common disorders which are being very much underdiagnosed these days. To introduce myself, I am Dr. Lakshmi Narasimha. I have done my UG in Ukraine, and then I have came to Hyderabad and did my fellowship in rheumatology. After doing this fellowship, looking at around 30,000 patients in and around the states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, I have almost like sequentialized few of the symptoms and diseases that are being observed in our day-to-day routine life. In more likely the underdiagnosed problems today we are seeing in the females, whereas in the males we are not seeing much of the autoimmune disorders, because the autoimmune disorder prevalence is almost like 7% in the population. Out of the 7% of the population, we are seeing like 80 to 85% is being affected by the females, and 10 to 15% is affected by the males. And more likely the reproductive age group in the females are being suffered with the autoimmune disorders much. In these autoimmune disorders, more likely we are looking about the lupus. The word lupus would be like very new to many of the people. What is meant by lupus? Lupus is an autoimmune disorder that is being observed in the females, which affects mainly right from your head to the tip toe. We can see loss of hair, we can see we can see severe fatigue, early morning stiffness of the joints, we see recurrent infections, we see that low backache, we can see early morning heel pains in both the heels. um, so such type of disorders, we need to understand that these disorders are not coming from your routine daily works. They are more likely being affected because of the improper hygiene that we are maintaining these days, improper nutrition we are taking, the way we are living, each and everything is being contributed to the autoimmune disorders. Many people, they do ask me about the symptoms, like not even symptoms, they feel like the etiological factors is more likely inheritance, but inheritance constitutes only up to 5% of the disorder, but 95% of the scenarios we um, morely see like weakened immune systems that is happening since even childbirth. We would like to discuss step to step since childbirth till to the moment, like what exactly is happening in the patients and their illnesses. For example, this is an introductory video that is being made today, but in the introductory video I would not like to go deep into any subject. I would like to just explain what exactly we are suffering these days most commonly. First thing is, many reproductive females come with a headache, where I have seen that patients do go to many of the practitioners. They undergo CT scans, they go for multiple consultations, and finally we have seen that a simple UTI is underdiagnosed. And the most common thing, see, any resistant UTI or unrecovered UTI or a recurrent UTI, we need to think that there is a weakened immune system which is not fighting back with the bacteria. So you need to understand that this UTI in the body, if it is persistently growing without any symptoms, for it leads to an immune compromised UTI. A immunocompromised UTI would definitely give a symptom called headache. So when a patient comes with headache, immediately we need to see a certified lab value of urine cultures or urine pus cells and epithelial cells. The moment we detect a UTI, we can't be so sure getting a lab report where there is no bacteria seen in the urine. We need to go for a culture. A culture will give a definitive diagnosis whether the patient has a sterile urine passage or a non-sterile urine passage. For a sterile urine passage, we need to think about other disorders that are associated with the headache. It could be hypertension, it could be any other causes that we would rule out later. But today we are discussing about the most common cause of headache in our places is UTI. If you get a urine culture done with a patient who is coming with recurrent headache, definitely you would see that the patient is susceptible to gram positive antibiotics or gram negative antibiotics. Those days are gone where we didn't do tests and we have written the tablets empirically, written the prescriptions empirically, which is not at all good in this era. We have to think about the diagnostic criteria, like what diagnostics we have to write for a patient. When you get done, like the other common cause of the headache could also be a diastolic hypertension. The most common cause of diastolic hypertension could be a hypothyroidism again. And the most common cause of fluctuating hypothyroidism is again autoimmune thyroiditis. The most common cause of autoimmune thyroiditis, again, it could be related to some other autoimmune disease that is there in your body. Any autoimmune disease is an inflammatory mediated. When we call it as an inflammatory mediated, there could be a cytokine mediated inflammation that is happening in the body. So the target specific therapy to any autoimmune disorder is to find out what is the cytokine that has been involved, which is leading to the inflammatory headaches and backaches or any other things. So I, Dr. Lakshmi Narasimha Rao, as a rheumatology practitioner since almost like 8 years, I have seen 40,000 plus patients with n number of disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, RA with overlap syndromes, lupus, ankylosing spondylitis, spondyloarthropathies, and seronegative and seropositivities. One need to differentiate between the seronegativity and the seropositivity. The seronegative disorders, if we don't have the knowledge of treating a patient according to their history, when a seronegative test has come, it is the failure of the practitioner in understanding. So we need to know that rheumatoid factor, for example, coming negative doesn't mean that the patient doesn't have rheumatoid arthritis. The seropositivity in rheumatoid arthritis prevalence is only 70%. And when we prescribe a test called rheumatoid factor, the rheumatoid factor is developed after 2 years of onset of RA, whereas the anti-CCP is more reactive in the first 2 years. But there could be a seronegative arthritis, which in 30% patients we see, you don't find any marker there. You only see a specific diagnosis called synovitis, whether it could be an ultrasound or an MRI. So we need to understand in this situation that diagnostics are not just the diagnostic criteria to diagnose a patient with an autoimmune disorder. History is very important, and you can't eliminate any symptom out of the history. A patient complains of headache, patient complains of fatigue, patient complains of vague body aches, patient complains of insomnia, patient complaints of decreased appetite, weight loss, hair loss, alopecia. Everything has to be considered. A skin rash, we can't differentiate between hair loss and skin rash is seen by dermatologist, any SOB is dealt with the pulmonologist, or any sugars are dealt by the endocrinologist. We need to understand that as the era is evolving, the medicine is based mainly on 4 branches. Medicine is mainly based on the subject called infectious diseases, and then comes the autoimmune disorders, and then comes the malignancies, right, and then comes the bile disorders. So these four are very important in treating in medicine. We can't say that this subject is only confined to only one particular stream. So as a rheumatologist, we do observe the basic immune patterns of a patient or a person's condition. Let us get into the example wise. Take the point number one, which is when a baby gets delivered. We need to see a baby is delivered by a normal delivery or a C-section. If it is a normal delivery, the immune status of the mother would be different. Whereas if it is a C-section, the immune status of the mother would be different. As we already read in the books that in a normal delivery, a mother loses 500 ml of blood, and in C-section, mother loses 1 liter of blood. We need to calculate that 1 liter of blood loss decreases 3 grams of HB in our body. We all know this. But along with the HB, we are losing everything, all the vitamins, minerals, each and everything. So any mother who is delivering a C-section, at least for a period of 1 year, they have to use iron, multivitamin and multi-mineral supplementation. Whereas a patient who delivered in the normal section, they need to use medications for at least a period of 3 to 6 months. So, and what happens here? What is the difference between a C-section mother and a normal delivery mother? A C-section mother, when she is losing her immunity, she is giving that immune deficient milk to their baby. Now think about the progression of that immune deficiency from mother to the child. It is already said that the genetics of the parents definitely gives their characters to the offspring. So when there is a deficiency in our body, definitely that would progress to your child. So we all need to understand this scenario, that right from the delivery, right from the birth of our life, we need to understand that immunity is very important, and immunity consists of multifactorial points, which includes right from the milk we drink to the AC we use, air conditioners. Here each and every point, like yes, in this particular world we can't change each and everything in overnight, but people who are conscious about the immunity could at least minimize the autoimmune side effects on your body. These days we observe in many girls about their issues, no regular menstrual cycles post puberty. They come up with headache, they come up with backache, they come up with fatigue, they come up with loss of hair, they come up with photosensitivity, they come up with facial rash, they come up with the swelling of the index and thumb fingers. Then what we all think about, we just think that the baby is not eating well or the kid is not eating well. That is where the immunity is less. That's where the point lies in. When we say that the baby is not eating well, what exactly we need to concentrate about? The food issues, the dietary issues. I have observed in many autoimmune disorder patients, in the young male or females, we heard this point called our baby doesn't eat anything of green or green leafy vegetables. They mostly like dal, rice, chicken, such. But where come the vitamins and minerals come from? They come from each and every food. That is like, we don't, these days we are not eating green rich foods like peas, chickpeas, drumsticks, brinjal. We differentiate like spinach, each and everything we are differentiating. Here the parents need to be very much conscious about what our kid is eating. Kids has to eat each and every food that a parents eat. If a parent eats the vegetable and the same vegetable is not being ate by the kid, we can see that there is a deficiency in that particular part in your genetics. So keeping all these in mind, now I would like to make a video blog. We want to do this video blog relating to each and every health disorders. So we'll come up with different topics. We'll come up with what is the most common cause of headache. We'll come up with what is the most common cause of backache. We'll come up with what is the most common cause of knee pains. How can we postpone the bilateral TKRs or total knee replacements? And we can think about this easy fractures. What are the causes of the easy fractures? And what is the most important element of immunity in our body? And then later we will discuss about the autoimmune disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, systemic lupus erythematosus, scleroderma, multiple sclerosis, spondyloarthropathy, seronegative and seropositives. We'll discuss about everything each in detail in this video blog. Thank you for this introductory video. We would come up with each and every blog and each and every video in our blog. So please kindly share the knowledge, share your experiences, and please make everyone aware about their health and what exactly we need to really deal with, why there is lots of health burden in the society, and what exactly happened in COVID. Thank you very much.